Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 25. It's from 25. I can't see the 25 properly, Prabhuji.
Oh, I thought it was 26.
No, it's 26.
26. Okay, Prabhuji.
26.
Mukta Sango Anaham Vadi Dhritya Utsaha Samanvitaha Siddhi Asiddhyor Nirvikaraha Karta Satvika Uchyate.
One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and with wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness.
Text 27. Ragi karma phala prepsur lupto hinsatmako suchihi harsha shokanvitah karta rajasah prakirtitah.
The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion.
Text 28. Ayuktah prakritah stabdah shato naishkritiko alasah vishadi dirga sutricha karta tamasa uchyate.
The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance.
Text 29. Buddhir bhedam dhriteschaiva gunatastrividam shrunu prochyamanam asheshena prithaktvena dhananjaya.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination, according to the three modes of material nature.
Text 18.30. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha ya veti buddhihi sa partha satviki.
O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness.
Text 31. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyam eva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhihi sa partha rajasi.
O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion.
Text 18.32. Adharmam dharmam iti ya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhihi sa partha tamasi.
That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance.
Text 18.33. धृत्या यया धारायते मनः प्राणेन्द्रियक्रियः योगिनाव्यभिचारिण्या धृति सा पार्थ सात्विकी.
O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness.
Text 18.34. यया तु धर्मकामार्थान् धृत्या धारयते जना प्रसङ्गेन फलाकाङ्क्षी धृतिः सा पार्थ राजसी.
But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna.
Text 35. यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुञ्चति दुर्मेधा ऋतिः सा पार्थतामसि.
And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Prita, is in the mode of darkness.
36. Prabhuji, could you please scroll up? सुखं त्व इदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभः अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति.
O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress.
Yat text 37. Yat tadagre visham eva pariname amritopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam.
That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness.
Text 38. Vishaya indriya sami sanyogad yat tadagre amritopamam pariname visham eva tat sukham rajasam smritam.
That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion.
Text 39. यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनम् आत्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्तहं तत्तामसम् उदारतम्.
And that happiness which is blind to self realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance.
Text 40. न तद् अस्ति पृथिव्यं वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्त्वं प्रकृतिभिर्मुक्तं यद् एभिः त्रिभिर्गुणैः.
There is no being existent, either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, which is freed from these three modes born of material nature.
Text 41. ब्राह्मणा क्षत्रियवीशां शूद्राणां च परन्तप कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि स्वभावप्रभवैर्गुणैः.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, or chastiser of the enemy.
Prabhuji, next page, please.
42.
Text 42. शमोदमस्तपः शौचं शान्तिरार्जवम् एव च ज्ञानं विज्ञानम् आस्तिक्यं ब्रह्मकर्म स्वभावजम्.
Peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness, these are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work.
Text 43. शौर्यं तेजो धृतिर्दाक्ष्यं युद्धे चापि अपलायनं दानम् ईश्वरभावश्च क्षात्रं कर्म स्वभावजम्.
Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas.
Text 44. कृषिगो रक्ष्या वाणिज्यं वैश्यकर्म स्वभावजं परिचर्यात्मकं कर्म शूद्रस्यापि स्वभावजम्.
45.
Text 45. Krishigorakshya vanityam vaishyakarma swabhavajam paricharyatmakam karma shudrasyapi swabhavajam. 46. Krishigorakshya vanityam vaishyakarma swabhavajam paricharyatmakam karma shudrasyapi swabhavajam.
Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work of the basis, and for the Shudras, there is labor and service to others.
Text 45. Swe 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 karmani abhiratah samsiddhim labate narah swakarma niratah siddhim yatha vindati tachrunu.
By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done.
Text 46. Yatah pravritir yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manavah.
By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
Text 47. Shreyan swadharmo vigunah paradharma swa anushtitat swabhava niyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham.
It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions.
Text 48. Sahajam karme kaunteya sadosham api na jayet sarvarambha hi doshena dhume dhume nagir ivavritah.
Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault.
Text 49. Ashakta buddhihi sarvatra jitatma vigata spriha naishkarmya siddhim paramam sanyasena digacchati.
One who is self controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain, by practice of renunciation, the highest perfect state of freedom from reaction.
Text 50. Siddhim prapto yatha brahma tathapnoti nibodha me samashe naiva kaunteya nishtha gnanasya ya para.
O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved his perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Santi Mataji. That was really good
Thank you, Prabhuji.
recitation. And so also the English, Alexander Mataji. Thank you so much. So I will now mute everyone. So welcome everyone to today's session. I see we all our regulars. It's nice to be in your association again. Only I see Puja Mataji is not here these days. Is she all right? Anyone knows? She hasn't been joining us for a few times now.
She's all right, Prabhuji. I've seen her in the other classes. So it may be that she's busy now, but she's okay.
All right. I was thinking about her. I haven't seen her at our sessions. She was so regular. Anyway, it's good to know that she's well.
I'll mention it to her that you were thinking about her.
Yeah, tell her that. We're missing her.
Yeah.
All right. So today we carry on with this final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, which is entitled The Perfection of Renunciation. And today we will be reading, studying and discussing text number 48. But before we do that, let's chant the Mangala Charanam prayers. And you can join me via unmuted mics. Om Jnana Timiran Dasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhubheva Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadi Chatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we now in the section of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna, the Lord, has been explaining about the four varnas, the four social orders, and the four ashramas, the four spiritual orders. And the Lord has been explaining the purpose of each of the varnas and ashrams. And Krishna has been explaining the purpose and the importance of this varna ashram dharma. So in this section, text number 45 to 48, the Lord is explaining the importance of sticking to one's own prescribed duties. Now, when we say own prescribed duties, what does that mean? What does that mean, our own prescribed duties? In these verses, Krishna is explaining that due to our past deeds, our past activities, we all take birth under a particular mode of nature. And according to the modes of nature we are situated in, there are certain social orders and spiritual orders that suit our psycho-physical nature the best. This is where we slot in. There's a famous saying, find your place in life and progress. So according to the modes of nature one is born in, one is meant to do a certain type of work, and one is meant to be situated in a certain condition of life. So in these verses 45 to 48, the Lord is now explaining the importance of sticking to one's prescribed duty. Now we may ask ourselves the question, why? Why is Krishna going to such lengths in these verses to describe the importance of sticking to one's prescribed duty? There are many reasons for this, but one very simple reason is the tendency of the conditioned soul. Like if we hear the Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness. The goodness is the highest mode of nature. It's the tendency for us to think, yes, I am eligible to be on the topmost situation. But by nature, because of the ego, we don't like to be situated. If someone comes and tells us, you're a Shudra, you are in the lowest, and this is all relative, right? You don't take it on face value that there is low and high. For Krishna, there's no such thing as low and high, in one sense. So we will think, oh, why should I be in the lowest? I should be in the highest. That is our conditioned nature by false ego. So people who are unqualified to be in a higher social order that's only fit for the people in the mode of goodness, they try to occupy such position. And what happens when people try to do that? There is chaos in society. Not only chaos in society, chaos in people's own individual lives. So these are very important verses. They're very relevant verses. And when we study Bhagavad Gita, we should always be examining this verse that is Krishna is speaking. How does this apply to my personal situation? What are the consequences for me if I don't heed or take seriously these instructions the Lord is given? We should never fall in the trap of being dismissive of everything, anything the Lord says. Every word is full of meaning. And we should always be studying Bhagavad Gita with this type of consciousness. These words Krishna spoke to Arjuna, but he also spoke it for my benefit. Krishna was thinking about me also when he spoke about these words. So how can I understand these particular instructions? How can I make it relevant to my life? This is how we should study Bhagavad Gita. Not that, well, let me finish quickly and then I can declare I read the Bhagavad Gita. Or we can say as a chat group, we finish the whole Bhagavad Gita. No, that is not the consciousness of how we should do things. So this is text number 48, and it's the last verse in this section where the Lord is explaining the importance of sticking to one's own prescribed duty. Sahajam karma konteya sadosham apina tyajet savaram bhahi doshena dumingna agni iva vritaha. So word for word, sahajam, born simultaneously. Karma, work. Konteya, O son of Kunti. Sadosham, would fault. Api, although. Na, never. Jajet, one should give up. Sarva arambaha, all ventures. He, certainly. Doshena, would fault. Dumena, would smoke. Agni, fire. Eva, as. Avritaha, covered. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. Even if one is a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, however pious he may be, has to fight enemies. He cannot avoid it. Similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, must sometimes hide his profit to stay in business. Or he may sometimes have to do business on the black market. All these things are necessary. One cannot avoid them. Similarly, even though a man is a Shudra serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. Despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duties, for they are born out of his own nature. A very nice example is given here. Although fire is pure, still there is smoke. Yet smoke does not make fire impure. Even though there is smoke in the fire, fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements. If one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of a Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of a Brahmana, there are no unpleasant duties. One may then conclude that in the material world, no one can be completely free from the contamination of material nature. This example of fire and smoke is very appropriate in this connection. When in winter time, one takes a stone from the fire, sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes and other parts of the body, but still one must make use of the fire despite disturbing conditions. Similarly, one should not give up his natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. This is the perfectional point. When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, all the defects in that particular occupation are purified. When the results of work are purified, when connected with devotional service, one becomes perfect in seeing the self within. And that is self-realization. So, very nice verse. Okay, let me ask some of you. Rita Kumari Mataji. Hope you don't feel I'm picking on you today. How would you take this verse to be relevant in your life? You there, Mataji? Okay, that's all right. Sailesh Prabhu, can I ask you, if you don't mind, what is the importance of this verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think I understand that every one of us start with Sudra qualities.
Yes.
And as you progress in your devotional service, then you go higher up the chain. But as far as our work is concerned, it's right that, if you follow the work identified within the position you are in, Sudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, then you end up, I think, generally doing better than trying to do somebody else's work.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Prabhu. Let me ask somebody else. Girish Prabhu, if you read this verse and you ask yourself this question, how is this verse relevant for me? What would be your conclusion?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Not sure whether I can explain it clearly, but I think whatever work we do is, if we want to do some work, obviously, if it has fault, we still be carrying on doing it. Like if we are doing some job, whether we like it or not, we have to do that. Because we are in material world, and for for the living, we have to do that job. If we don't like it, we change it, but not guarantee that if it's like the new one or not as well, because there will be some fault which or the areas which we might not like it doing it.
Okay.
But we have to carry on with work despite whether it has fault or whether we like it or not.
But what should you add to that work?
Sorry, Prabhuji?
What should you add to that consciousness of working according to your nature?
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Let Girish Prabhu answer first, Prabhu. I come back to you, if you don't mind. 1 minute.
I think, Prabhuji, in that way, again, I don't know what should I add over here in terms of, because we're not Brahmanas, so definitely not in that context. Neither Kshatriyas. So we're born as a service to others right now. So, we classes that are Shudras because we're serving for others. And if we serve for Krishna, definitely we can elevate to the next level of top of from Shudra to go into, towards Brahmana category or more devotional or the devoted towards Lord Krishna.
Yes, thank you. I'll come to you now, Prabhu. You wanted to add something, please do.
We do our job to our best to please Krishna. And I think
Yes.
that's very important part.
Yes. Yes,
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Bharat Prabhu. Thank you
you.
so much. That's very good. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Mataji.
Rita here, because I was just not feeling too well today. I
Oh,
was
I'm
listening
sorry
to the program. But I would say, whatever karma, whatever work we do, we keep Krishna in the middle and we say to ourselves that this is what we are doing to Lord Krishna, that you are in the middle. So everything we are doing for him. See, you keep Krishna in your mind. I would say that.
Very good.
I do in that manner.
That's very good consciousness. Thank you.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Because you do everything with the right mode of, mind, karma of Kristi. Well, in my situation, I do Ghar Kristi, then I have to go to work as well. But at the moment I'm resting. So obviously tomorrow will be the first day to go back. So I would put Krishna in the middle and do the service in the morning to Lord Krishna and say, all is upon to you, whatever I'm going to do. Because I'll do everything which is truthful. That's what I think.
That's very good. Very good.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
What I just wanted to add with that one, that no matter whatever we do, we have to accept this fact and continue to perform our best actions, not focus too much on the results.
Yes. Yes, well said, Bhagavati Mataji. The essence of these verses that Krishna is giving us, the Lord is giving us, it's about purification. The Lord wants us to become purified of the contamination. And what is the contamination? Sorry, Meena Mataji, I know you're chanting the holy name, but I had to mute you. So it's about purification. These verses are about purification. The Lord wants us to become purified of the contamination of the material modes of nature. And no matter what situation we are in life, whatever our duties are, there are difficulties. I think all of us have practical experience of this. No one needs to convince us. There are difficulties. But if we stick to our own prescribed duty, that is the best place for purification. if we try to take on another duty, then our purification process is going to become disturbed. It's going to become disturbed. And the Lord is giving a very nice metaphor here. And Prabhupada explains this in the purport. The analogy of fire covered by smoke. Smoke does not make a fire impure. And Prabhupada gives some examples there. In winter time, when one takes a stone from the fire, sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes, but still one makes use of the fire anyway. They do not give up the duty due to unpleasant disturbances. Be determined to serve the Lord by occupational duty. So this analogy is a smoke, and there is fire. The smoke by nature, it is disturbing. It is disturbing to us. And the smoke is coming from the fire. But we need the fire. If we give up the fire, which is so necessary for us because there is smoke, what is to be gained? What is to be gained? So in the same way, we are put in a certain situation in life, and the smoke is the troubles that like sometimes in family life, there are certain problems. If one says, I will give this up because there's problems, or Prabhupada gives the examples of the Brahmanas and the Vaishyas, there is something we do not like about that's there in our duty. If because of that something we don't like, we give it up, we will get into more trouble. So the best is to stick to our duty, but most importantly, don't just stick with the duty, but serve Krishna while in that duty. The results of all work is purified when they are connected with devotional service. And one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self-realization. Now, someone may ask the question, when Srila Prabhupada went to America, Prabhupada says in his poem that in the Western world, people are steeped in the mode of passion and ignorance. So why did Srila Prabhupada try to make them Brahmanas? Why didn't Srila Prabhupada just say, stick with your own duty? Srila Prabhupada took those Americans and he made them into Brahmanas. So someone may think, is that consistent with this verse? And the answer is yes, an emphatic yes. Why is it an emphatic yes? Because Srila Prabhupada raised them to the mode of goodness by giving them the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is so powerful. Like Krishna says in these verses, one is of a particular varna or ashram according to guna and karma, not by janma. Guna means modes and karma means work. So everyone can be elevated to a higher situation in life, but by proper process, not by artificially rubber stamping. Rubber stamping. I want to now just share with you an interesting video. And in this video, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Yashomati Nandan Das, he is going to talk about one very interesting example or story in this regard. So let me share with you all. Sorry, let me stop. Let me optimize it first. Yes, it's optimized. Right. So the context of this Yashomati Nandan Prabhu is talking about when Prabhupada was opening the first ISKCON temple in Vrindavan. There was going to be a grand opening of the Krishna Balaram temple. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to invite all of the big dignitaries in Vrindavan to come to the temple opening. So Yashomati Nandan Prabhu was delegated by Srila Prabhupada to personally go and invite these dignitaries. And there was one dignitary who was the biggest, most prominent person in Vrindavan. And Yashomati Nandan Prabhu went to invite him. So please hear what happened.
Festivities. So he also sent me to invite various saints of Vrindavan to come for the festival. I went to invite Karpatri Maharaj. Karpatri was the biggest impersonalist of India at that time, most respected person, very strict sannyasi. Even though he was impersonalist, he was giving Bhagavad Saptahas and speaking about Krishna. He was living in Dhanuka ashram right next to ours. So I went to invite him for the inauguration. We had a week-long festival. Every day different saintly persons came. So I went to invite him. He said, well, I cannot come to your function. Why? I said, because your guru is giving Brahman threads to Westerners. This is not possible. This should not be done. So I said, well, why not? If they behave like Brahman, if they are rising early in the morning at 4 o'clock and they chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds every day, they study Bhagavatam, they study Gita, they study all the scriptures, and all day they spend in spreading the message of Sanatana Dharma. Whereas the Brahmins nowadays in India, they are becoming bus conductors and they are becoming factory workers and they are becoming postmen. So how do you think that they are Brahmins and they are not Brahmins? These people are not Brahmins. So I agree like that. I said, Chaturvarnyam Maya system guna karma vibhagasya. According to guna and karma, the 4 divisions are devised. Then when I had gone to that Vallabhacharya, he also said that your guru is making Brahmanas, giving Brahman threads. So Prabhupada said, open Srimad Bhagavatam. So he asked me to bring Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Open chapter number 11. And it's the last verse. Narada Muni is instructing about the duties and roles of varnashram in that chapter, 7:11. And at the end he says that if you see the symptom of a Brahmana in a Shudra, or a symptom of a Shudra in a Brahmana, then he should be accepted in that category whose symptom he has. If the Brahmana has symptom of Shudra, then he should accept Shudra. If Shudra has symptom of Brahman, he should be accepted as Brahman. Yasya jal lakshanam proktam tasya varnabhiganjakam yadanyatra vidrishyata tat teneva vinidrishyata. This sloka Prabhupada made me memorize in 1975, 74. So this was like somewhere deep in the scripture, this sloka. So I quoted this sloka to Karpatri Maharaj, and his eyes popped up like this. He said, your guru has trained you very well. He was, because Prabhupada had told me this sloka, so I quoted this sloka back to him, Karpatri. Yasaya lakshanam proktam tasya varna vivanjakam. So he said, your guru has trained you very well. Then he said, but there is a tiger, actual tiger, and a tiger-like man. A man is considered, he's like a lion. So he's like a lion, but he's not lion. So he's like a Brahman, but not a Brahman. Like that, you can see how the Mayavadis use the word jugglery. So there was the example of word jugglery. So I came and narrated everything to Prabhupada, that this Karpatri was speaking like this. So Prabhupada said, did you tell him this verse? Yasaya lakshanam proktam? I said, yes, Yasaya lakshanam. And he said that your Guru Maharaj has prepared you very well. So I started laughing. He said, yes, prepared very well, everything accepted, but still he is so envious he will not come to our function. So unfortunate. This wonderful temple of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is opening. He appreciated, but it was too hard, Mayavadi. The governor was there as a chief guest.
Hare Krishna. Did you all get what was being said there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji, wonderful, wonderful.
Very, very important. And maybe I shall show you all this verse, dear devotees. It's very important. You know this verse because Srila Prabhupada taught this verse to Yashomati Nandan Prabhu. So this verse you will find in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, text number 35. Yasya ya lakshanam proktam pumsha varna vyan jakam yad anyatrapi drishyate tattaneva vini drishyate. If one shows the symptom of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to the symptoms of classification. So it is guna and karma, not janma. You see, when you go to India, the rickshawala is using sacred thread. The chaiwala is using sacred thread. And when you speak to him, says, I am Brahman, but they're doing the work of a Shudra. Better you accept who you are and advance from there. That's what Krishna is saying. And hopefully all those people who wrongly claim to be of a certain class should read these verses. And just for your benefit, this series of verses spoken by Narad Muni to Maharaj Yudhisthira, which appears there in the 11th chapter of the 7th canto, is very much in keeping. In fact, more nice detailed description is given. So if you like more information or understanding about what we're reading in the Bhagavad Gita, please read chapter 11 of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And most of y'all will have these, have Srimad Bhagavatam, hopefully. So I'll stop here for today. I will take any questions, reflections, comments, or corrections that anyone may have.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Yama Mataji.
Prabhuji, so if we think of Karna,
Yeah.
he was born Kshatriya, so I'm assuming that was based on his guna and karma. He was born a Kshatriya. But then he went to a Shudra family. And then came back as a Kshatriya. So which guna and karma was he supposed to? And was it because he defected his guna and karma that he kind of had a bit of a defective performance in terms of performing his duty? Does that make sense?
Yeah. The first part of your question, he was Kshatriya.
Kshatriya, yeah.
He was born in the Kshatriya mode. His
Yes.
nature was a Kshatriya.
Okay.
But he was picked up by, someone from the Shudra background.
Yes.
And because of that, he was never accepted within the Kshatriya fold.
Yes.
But we could see from Karna, his nature was a Kshatriya. He was only comfortable being a Kshatriya.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, people didn't know his background. So he got criticized, but his nature was to be a Kshatriya. And
his symptoms were Kshatriya as well.
Yeah, but his problem was the duty of the Kshatriya is to protect Dharma. Right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
he went onto the side of Adharma.
Right.
And that's what led to his demise. You should act according to your duty. And the duty of a Kshatriya is not just to protect, like if you protect a master because he's your master, like he wanted to protect Duryodhan because good Duryodhan was his master. That is the nature of a Shudra.
Yes.
As Prabhupada says in the purport. So that's where his fault came about.
Okay.
That's where his fault came about.
So that's
Krishna
why, yeah.
Prabhu,
Yes.
my humble obeisances. Wasn't Karna Karna was a Kshatriya, but he was not accepted as a Kshatriya. He was insulted by Dronacharya. Dronacharya didn't accept him. And
That's
he was
what Prabhupada
insulted
is saying.
many times. He was insulted.
Yes.
So that's why he took the side of Duryodhan.
Yeah, that's true. That's why he took the side. But still, if he was true to his Kshatriya nature, he should have protected Dharma. And he would have known what is Dharma. But because he was being given shelter by Duryodhan, no matter what, he's still stuck with him. That was his fault.
Yeah, I think Karna's story is the most sad, I think, because even the Pandavas didn't accept him. He was like Kunti also rejected him. So he was he was older than Yudhishthir, but he was not accepted like that. So his story was very sad. I find it very sad in the Mahabharata. He was unjustly treated.
Yeah, there's one perspective. We can talk a lot about Karna. There are many aspects to him and why he was put in that situation, but maybe we'll leave that for another session.
So Prabhuji, if I can just understand what you were saying, that you said that guna and karma and symptom wise, he was supposed to be a Kshatriya. But because he used his independence and used it to support adharma rather than dharma, that's why the defects came into. His performance was defective in a way, isn't it? That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, yes.
Okay. If he had chosen religion, then he would have perfected his dharma, his nature.
Yes. And then what is the perfection of religion? As Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. The perfection of religion is to serve Krishna.
Yes.
Last night I was listening to one very nice class by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says the highest form of religion, the perfection of religion, is to act in a way to please Krishna. Arjuna finally acted in a way to please Krishna because Krishna spoke Gita to him. But Maharaj Yudhishthir, Krishna asked him to speak a lie, that Ashvatthama is dead. And he said, how can I speak a lie? It's not in my nature to speak a lie. And Prabhupada says this was his fault. He failed to understand the highest perfection of Dharma is not to speak truth. The highest perfection is to please Krishna.
Yes, very nice. Okay.
And Karna, he didn't act to please Krishna.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
And
Thank
I also, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And I also heard that like because of he has done like because Krishna asked him to say this and he did not say it like Yudhishthira, and that's why he has to go for 1 minute in hell, like when they're walking. I heard about that, like at the end, because he did not say what Krishna asked him to.
Yes, that's true.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Pani Mataji.
Prabhuji, as you said in this class that, we have to remember when we are at work, how can we remember Krishna all the time? Sometimes it's very difficult, when you are engrossed in the work. We try our best to, like connect it with Krishna, but to remember and stay in Krishna's consciousness is not all the time.
It is difficult, but Prabhupada says by training and by practice, it is. And Prabhupada gave two very, very important instructions to help us in that regard, Krishnavani Mataji. First, Prabhupada said, if we always can chant Hare Krishna, even while we're working in our mind, as far as possible, we can chant Hare Krishna. That will remind us of our position. And secondly, Prabhupada says, if we simply think, no matter what we are doing, if we simply think that Jivera Swarapoi Krishna and Nityadas, that I am an eternal servant of Krishna. Just keep this one thought. I am an eternal servant of Krishna. Prabhupada says, simply by thinking like this, you are liberated. Those are too simple, practical. Obviously, in our conditioned state, even such simple instructions might appear very difficult. But those simple instructions can keep us in the right consciousness in whatever position we are in life.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu.
Oh, Krishna speaks that one should work according to nature born. When whatever natural inclination you may have.
Yes.
Take for example, there is a Grahastha family and they got 4 sons.
Yes.
The father is doing, mercantile business.
Yes.
Wants to become a doctor, another engineer, another IT specialist. So how does one determine what sort of natural tendency we have? Could you please maybe elaborate if there is enough time?
Yes, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, that is a very good question. It's a question that many of us have and many of us ask. In other ages, it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear. From birth, one could see those specific inclinations. I know sometimes in our tradition, when they have the grain ceremony, you have the grain and you have the Bhagavatam. And they say when the child goes for the Bhagavatam, then he's inclined in that region. If he goes to the grain, he's inclined in another way. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kalo Shudra Sambhavan. In Kali Yuga, everybody is born in the consciousness of Shudra. So in Kali Yuga, everything is topsy-turvy. It's difficult. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, it is said, just do, and this is the other problem. People, they take on occupation because it pays well. It may not be according to their nature, but because it pays well, they will take on a certain job. But because it is not according to their nature, they are never happy. And they take to so many other distractions to make them happy. So to answer your question simply, Prabhu, it's difficult to say in Kali Yuga. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, but sometimes a spiritual master and a parent. You are a father, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu. You can know that sometimes, one of your children, you may want them to do a certain occupation, but you would always notice their inclination was different.
Yes.
Their nature was different. Just as parents, intuitively, you know that.
Yes.
But still, to become a farmer, if your son says, I am very inclined towards doing something with the land, you would tell your child, being a farmer doesn't pay much. Please just go to medical school. Again, everything is driven by financial needs. So
You're right.
everything is topsy-turvy in Kali Yuga. So, wherever you are in Kali Yuga, wherever you just add Krishna, just have the holy name, just have the association of devotees. And that association would uplift us to the highest mode and beyond, the mode of Suddha Sattva.
To be honest, idea at all, but only devotees, I am so grateful that somehow my consciousness has been lifted by a quarter of an inch, so to speak. But thank you for that. That is a wonderful answer. Thank you.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
As a Sudra, we are like workers. So it's good to be a Dasanudas here. So it would be so easy when we go up there to be serving, everybody. If we make it to Golok Vrindavan.
Yes. So what you're saying, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am not a Vaishya. I'm not a Brahmana.
Yes.
I'm not a Vaishya. I'm not a Shudra. Neither am I a sannyasi, a vanaprastha, a grihastha, or a brahmachari. But I am Gorpi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I am simply the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the master of the Gopi Sri Krishna. So the Vaishnava, he transcends that position. He transcends that position.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Just a realization. When I heard about this voice, I was a bit perturbed because it sort of linked to what I thought it linked to caste system, which I'm not very happy with. And listening to this class and also reflecting on my childhood, my mom used to say, be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all.
That's nice.
Stuck in my brain, and I really like it. But coming to think about the position you hold in life as an occupation, I think it's always arranged the best for you through Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not your doing. And okay, I think when we're not happy in a position, it's because we think we actually deserve better. So we're fighting it, and then you're never settled. But so if you do it well, you can progress and get into better position and you can still be happy in that position if you accept it and perform it the best you can.
Yes.
So I'm thinking we thinking, we deserve better. And in this world, you think about fighting for your rights and equality and all that sort of thing. So I think, you can make the best out of it and be happy if you really do it well and you just put your heart in it and perform the best you can.
Very, very important point you raised there, Mataji. Very important point. And Prabhupada says a devotee always thinks, this position, this situation I am it's been ordained for me by Krishna. Even the service that I have, this has been ordained. Krishna has put me in this service. So let me just be happy, do it happily, do my duty, and at the same time execute my Krishna consciousness. That's a very, very important point you raised. Thank you for raising that. Yes.
How can I access that lecture?
Which lecture, Mataji?
The one the Prabhupada did about this, connecting to this, what I had to say about work.
About just, okay, I'll see if I can send you that. I think it may be a letter too. If it's not a lecture, it's a letter.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, tonight's class has actually clarified a lot of my doubts and confusion in this point. I'm really grateful that it's been raised and so many input has made it a lot clearer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. There's one wonderful note here. Our own Santosh Mataji. Her mother was invited to attend the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple in 1975, and she still has the invitation card. Hopefully one day she can show us that invitation card. Thank you, Santosh Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And you also met Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, didn't you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, wonderful.
I paid my obeisances at Prabhupada's feet.
Wow. That's amazing. So thank you very much, everyone. I've gone beyond time. I do apologize. But it's such a nice discussion. How could we stop it? All glories to your service. Vancha kalpa turubhascha kripa siddhi. Patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Hare Krishna.
Anantapari Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Prabhupada ki
Srila
jai.
Prabhupada ki
Gaura
jai.
Premanande.
Hare Hare Bol. Hare Hare.